Here are some quick knife sharpening tips. Whether you're a knife maker or a knife user, you will sharpen your knives regularly. And here's just my take on it and a few notes how you might get better results than you used to. We will be using water stones for sharpening. So you can have this at home. You don't need a grinder, you don't need any fancy equipment. You just need a couple of stones. First of all, I'll chew the stone. This is a stone that is used to make sure that the stone is flat. After you use it for a while, it will start to dish. So it's good to have these. It's not strictly necessary. You can also do this other ways, like with a sandpaper on a flat surface and just rub the stone on there. Just break the corners. There we go. We're going to be sharpening this bunker. It has a flat grind, which has around 2 degrees per side. So I want to sharpen this particular knife at around 16 degrees per side, which is why I've made myself a little 3D printed angle with 14 degrees. So I'll put this on here and then put the knife on the stone, leaning on the bevel. That way I know now the distance behind the spine and the stone that I'm aiming for. Once I found my angle, I will remove this, but now I know the approximate distance that I'm aiming for in the back. So I'll try to keep this angle consistent on both sides. When you sharpen, the easiest way to start is to have one foot in front of the other, just like you're walking. Try to grip the knife in a good position so you can not only control back and forth, but you can also control the angle already with this hand. On the other hand, I will apply the pressure. So my pressure point will be here close to the sharpening stone. I don't want to make the pressure back here because it's going to tilt the knife. So I will be pushing down close to the edge. You need approximately 1 to 2 kilograms of force. So you can get yourself a kitchen scale and just apply the pressure to get a feeling for how much pressure you want to put on there. We're going to start off with a little bit more pressure and go back and forth on the knife. So right now I'm keeping all the small joints basically fixed. So I will try to not move my fingers, my wrist and my elbows. I do this whole movement from the hip, from the torso. So also my head stays in line with the knife. So I always have a very good visual if I'm changing the angle or if I'm being consistent. That makes it a lot easier compared to full strokes. Like if you're doing 20 knives per week, you will get faster. You can do it like this. You can still keep the angle consistent even though you're doing full strokes. But doing it inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, you have much more control over the angle and you will find it easier to keep the angle the same and get consistent results. So switch the side, do a couple of strokes on the other side, just pressure on the front, then flip sides and work your way around again. At the end of each grit, this was a 1000 grit stone. This is a synthetic stone. At the end of each grit, I like to go a couple of strokes towards the back. Just light strokes. Now I'm barely applying any pressure. So it's not 1 or 2 kilograms anymore, it's just the weight of the knife. I don't push down at all. This way I center the burr and now I can test if I've actually achieved in making a sharp knife again, a sharp edge. I'll test by using a slice of newspaper and see if it cuts cleanly. If it starts getting trouble anywhere, I know that I need to resharpen this section. So right now I can only do slicing because it's a rougher grit. Right now I can't go in with a push cut or it'll start binding. So I need to kind of saw my way through, and it's also making a slightly louder noise than it will be when we're finished sharpening. So next up, I know, okay, I got a burr, both sides have met in the middle, I got a sharp apex again, and now we'll sharpen it on the blue, on the Belgian blue. This is around a 5,000 to 8,000 grit natural stone. You can use any other stone too. I have very good experience with this one. I also recommend, for example, the King combination stone 1,000 and 6,000. It's mostly up to your technique, less about the stone itself in my experience. So again, we'll start, go all the way along the length of the knife, apply about 1 kilogram of force. Basically, we're trying to remove the rougher 1,000 grit scratches now and get a finer finish on this. We're going light strokes. You can also do this inch by inch, just keep the pressure lighter, or you can do full strokes if you're sure that you keep the angle straight. And when we test now, it should be able to push cut pretty cleanly. So I don't need to saw, I can really push through easily. It still has a little bit of serrations and probably a slight burr in the front. So that's why we're gonna go to the leather strap. This is just basically cowhide on a piece of wood, and we're gonna strap, only moving towards the spine. So no cutting, this is leather. If you go to the front, you're gonna cut into the leather, just go towards the back. You can do this section by section, or you can do it in full strokes. It doesn't really matter, just keep the angle consistent, same angle as before. Keep switching sides, and that way you will eliminate the burr. When we cut through the newspaper now, it should be even smoother than it was before. So now I can even start cutting curves and just glide through anything that I confront the knife with. One note, if you're sharpening your IKEA knife that is already 2 millimeters behind the edge, this will take a lot longer. It's the same techniques, but if you have a high quality kitchen knife that is very thin behind the edge, this will be very easy because you have to remove almost no material on the secondary bevel. There's very little surface. If you have a thicker knife, this is going to take a lot longer, and you might want to have to start with a coarser grit to get to the first burr, to first remove enough material until the two sides touch each other. A blunt knife will have some rounded part in the front, and that's not going to cut. So we have to remove material from the side until we get a nice apex again. And then we can move on to finer grits. The first grit is the most important. If you don't remove enough material to get a sharp edge, it's not gonna help if you polish the sides. That's it. It's pretty easy.
Massive thank you to all our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the content that we do, and if you find value in the content we create, you can support our channel at patreon.com/UKBladeShow, or links are in the description below. I do hope you have enjoyed that video, and if you are interested in knife geometry and how you can level up your knife making game, check out this other video over here. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.